Sadly, sometimes parents do not get along and end up not staying together as a couple. They never intended to in the first place and conceived a child from a one-night stand. Whatever the case, when co-parenting goes wrong, chaos and complications can follow and usually do. Children often end up getting caught up in the conflict as bargaining chips and victims. And indeed, the kids are always the ones who suffer the most from child custody disputes in Oklahoma. The following is a brief list of some of the common reasons Oklahoma child custody disputes most often occur, often leading to lengthy court battles and Oklahoma child custody private investigations by a child custody private investigator in Oklahoma at our Child Custody Private Investigation Center in Edmond, Oklahoma. The parents have vastly contrasting parenting styles. One or both of the parents abuses illicit and/or prescription drugs. The co-parenting adults are in jail and/or committing criminal activities. One or both of the parents has an extremely toxic personality. The religious and/or cultural beliefs of the parents interfere with the couple's ability to co-parent. Either one or both of the parents or children come out as LGBTQIA+, and the parent or kids face rejection from other family members. The grandparents or other toxic family members cause conflict and interfere with the parents' abilities to co-parent. Issues of alimony and/or child support influence fights and disagreements between the two or more co-parents. One of the parents moves away and the other parent objects. Remarriages of the two co-parents occur and the step-parents either become abusive to the children or even attempt to adopt the children as their own and terminate the parental rights of the biological parent. These are just some of the many reasons that Oklahoma child custody disputes require Oklahoma child custody private investigations, and the need for Oklahoma child custody private investigators at our private investigation agency in Edmond, Oklahoma arises. Thus, many of our clients at our private investigation agency Norman, OK, often ask us how our private investigators in El Reno, Oklahoma, can assist with child custody private investigations in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Our licensed private investigators in Yukon, OK, at our private investigation agency in Midwest City, Oklahoma, have a plethora of ways in which they can assist with child custody private investigations in Edmond, Oklahoma. Some of the ways in which a licensed child custody private detective in Oklahoma at our private investigation agency in Mustang, Oklahoma, can assist with Oklahoma child custody investigations are as follow: conducting Oklahoma background checks and nationwide criminal background investigations, running social media scans, deep internet searches, engaging in Oklahoma City child custody private investigations involving surveillance, having our child custody private investigator in Moore, Oklahoma, provide written reports and conduct court testimony as an Oklahoma expert witness from Oklahoma child custody private investigations, counter-surveillance sweeps of homes, offices, and vehicles for bugs, tracking devices, hidden listening devices that one parent has unlawfully placed on the property of the other custodial parent, sex crime charges involving children offending against other children, or parents sexually offending against their own children or the children of other parents in child custody investigations, Oklahoma child custody investigations involving missing children, runaway children, non-custodial parental kidnappings, and non-parental kidnappings of children, etc. Any other child custody private investigations in Norman, OK, that requires the services of an experienced Yukon, OK child custody private investigator at our El Reno, OK private investigation agency. As you can clearly see, our licensed War Acres, Oklahoma child custody private investigators at our Guthrie, OK private investigation agency can conduct a plethora of Bethany, OK child custody private investigation services for our clients. Our licensed OKC, OK child custody private investigators at our private detective agency in Tulsa, Oklahoma, have many years of experience with Oklahoma child custody private investigations and have access to a vast network of legal connections both in Oklahoma and in other states. Of course, what are some of the most common reasons a parent in Tulsa, Oklahoma, might contend that she, he, they, is, are a better fit for full custody of their child or children over the other parent? Some of the reasons that Dr. Michaela Saramosing and our other child custody private detectives in Oklahoma at our Child Custody Private Investigation Agency in Bethany, Oklahoma, see parents most often want to find in surveillance or counter-surveillance on the other parent are as follow. Our child custody private investigators in Guthrie, OK, can conduct Oklahoma City child custody investigations via stakeouts and surveillance on the parent or whomever they hang around. A couple is married or is otherwise together until one or both parents cheat on the other. One of the parents becomes our Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigation Agency's clients and asks one of our Oklahoma City OK Child Custody Private Investigators to conduct surveillance as a part of our OKC Child Custody Private Investigations on their behalf. Our clients in child custody investigations in Oklahoma cases asks our Oklahoma Child Custody Private Detectives to perform nationwide criminal background check investigations and social media scans, deep internet searches on the romantic partners and associates of the other co-parent. Those romantic partners may have had to undergo Oklahoma sex offender registration or other felonies pending against them. Our Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigators at our Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigation Agency can use surveillance in Oklahoma help determine if a parent or guardian is violating the child custody agreement in Oklahoma. Examples of this include, but are not limited to, if the parent is leaving the child with others instead of giving the other parent the first chance, or if the parent is secretly having romantic partners stay overnight at their home when the child is present, and the Oklahoma Child Custody Agreement prohibits this type of behavior. Parents often ask our child custody private investigators in Edmond, Oklahoma, at our private detective agency in War Acres, OK, to conduct child custody private investigations in El Reno, Oklahoma, and surveillance to help determine if the other parent is visibly drinking and driving, or is seen consuming high quantities of alcohol at bars and then driving. Sometimes, parents involved in an Oklahoma child custody dispute request assistance from a licensed child custody private detective in Piedmont, OK, at our Child Custody Private Investigation Agency in Norman, Oklahoma, to conduct surveillance to figure out if our Oklahoma City Child Custody Private Investigator can see the other parent physically, verbally, or emotionally abusive or neglectful of the children. One parent might seek assistance from a child custody private investigator in Bethany, OK, at our Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigation Agency to conduct surveillance to find out if the other parent is driving erratically when the children are also in the vehicle with them. Our Oklahoma City OK Child Custody Private Investigators at our Oklahoma Child Custody Private Detective Agency often receive counter-surveillance requests to help determine whether or not the other parent has unlawfully placed secret bugs, tracking devices, or hidden audio listening devices into the home, office, or vehicle of the other parent for spying and surveillance purposes. Some parents seek the assistance of a Norman, Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigator from our Child Custody Private Detective Agency in Del City, OK, to conduct Oklahoma City Custody Private Investigations to help kids who have been victims of sexual abuse, kidnapping, runaway circumstances, etc. Our licensed Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigators at our Child Custody Private Investigation Agency in Oklahoma City will conduct Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigations and serve as Oklahoma expert witnesses both on behalf of the Oklahoma State Department of Human Services and Oklahoma Police Department, as well as with private citizens wishing to counter any accusations by state agencies. Once again, there are many ways in which an Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigator at our Child Custody Private Detective Agency in Oklahoma City, OK, can conduct surveillance and implement other Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigation techniques to help clients with their child custody private investigations in OKC. Our licensed child custody private investigators in OKC, OK, at our private Oklahoma City Child Custody Investigation Agency have conducted child custody private investigations in Edmond and elsewhere for many years and will happily do our absolute best to assist you as well. Grandparent rights in Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigations and Disputes. For one reason or another, some Oklahoma grandparents often end up raising or at least being involved in the lives of their grandchildren. Evolution and longer lifespans have meant greater opportunities for grandparents to live longer and thus have more of an opportunity to engage in a healthy, active, part-time role in the raising of our world's grandchildren. Unfortunately, when the parents of those kids die, become unfit parents, or simply because the grandparents are selfish and want the grandkids all to themselves, in the state of Oklahoma, as the Oklahoma Bar Association will attest, grandparents really do not have much in terms of custodial rights over grandchildren. Indeed, most Oklahoma grandparents usually only have full custody of their children whenever their birth parents are unable to do so because of drugs, incarceration, illness, or death, or are simply unwilling to fulfill their parental rights and obligations. At other times, grandparents will sometimes involve themselves in a more active role whenever a dispute between the two co-parents arises, and they want to ensure that they, as the grandparents, have a secure position in getting to see their grandkids. Whatever the case, whenever Oklahoma child custody disputes arrive, the need for experienced Oklahoma child custody private investigators from our private investigation agency in Moore, OK, to conduct Oklahoma child custody private investigations on your behalf is crucial. You need to hire a private investigator in Edmond, Oklahoma, who has experience in child custody investigations in Mustang, Oklahoma, from a reputable private detective agency in OKC like Oklahoma Statewide Private Investigations and Process Serving. Truth and Consequences in Oklahoma City Child Custody Private Investigations. If you decide not to enlist a licensed child custody private detective in Yukon, OK, from our Oklahoma Child Custody Private Investigation Agency to conduct child custody private investigations in El Reno, OK, on your behalf, then you might very well risk some or all of the following deplorable concomitant consequences. You might lose custody of your child and even have judge deny your visitation right. Your children might grow up never knowing you. Is that what you want? A judge might make you pay child support payments to the other parent. If the current custodial parent is abusing the child through physical, sexual, emotional, and/or mental torture, and you do not gain custody, then your child will suffer terrible scars for many years to come. The other parent could even murder your children, or your children might even commit suicide from the abuse. If you and your co-parent cannot work things out peacefully and effectively co-parent together and are instead constantly arguing and fighting, then your children will grow up incorporating conflict into all of their personal and professional relationships. The Oklahoma Department of Human Services, Oklahoma Police Department, and Oklahoma's courts and child advocates might get involved and could legally terminate your parental rights. The other custodial parent could try to have their new lover, adopt your children and terminate your parental rights. Whom do you have in your corner fighting for you, your legal rights, and your beloved children? Our children are our future. Please call Dr. Michaela Saramosing and her other licensed Oklahoma child custody private investigators from our Midwest City OK Child Custody Private Investigation Agency today to speak with an experienced private investigator in Edmond, OK, about the Edmond, Oklahoma Child Custody Investigations case today. Also, please check out our recommended attorneys page for a list of experienced licensed child custody attorneys in Oklahoma who can also provide legal representation for you in a court of law with the Oklahoma Police Departments and with the Oklahoma Department of Human Services, DHS. As an experienced Edmond, Oklahoma child custody private investigator, Dr. Michaela Saramosing ensures that she and her Oklahoma child custody private detective agency only recommend the finest Oklahoma child custody attorneys who treat their Shawnee, Oklahoma child custody clients fairly and promptly.